Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
The earth is in the process of transformation. A separation, such as when a cell divides. Half will remain in the third dimension, the old earth, where there is conflict and violence. The other half will ascend to the fifth dimension, the new earth, where no negativity can exist. All across the world, there are internet content creators that are sharing new information to raise your consciousness and prepare you to ascend to the new earth. Join me, Naima Latif, every Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Time, and we will introduce to you these voices of enlightenment. Grand Rising. And thank you for joining us on this Wednesday edition of Voices of Enlightenment. I'm Naima Latif, and I'm always so excited to speak to you about a subject that's near and dear to my heart: the new earth. It's a new reality that we will be experiencing. Indeed, many of us are experiencing right now. But I've had a number of people ask me, well, what is this new earth thing? I don't get this. And the interesting thing is that there are groups of people who understand because they're tuned in and they have been given access to information that raises their awareness. And so they perceive reality differently than those people who have not received the information. Now, as we've said, there are content creators all over the internet that are explaining what's happening. Our world is going through a shift. And some of you may have heard some of the terms, the shift. Some of you may have heard the terms, the ascension. Some of you may have heard the terms of fifth dimension. Come on now, we've been getting this message for a number of decades now. But yet we've also been given an alternative message, a conflicting message, a message that is intended to keep us in a state of fear so that we cannot perceive the reality that exists. Wisdom teachers all over the world are advising people to stop watching television news. Stop watching mainstream media. And what we mean by mainstream is large corporate controlled media companies that make a very deliberate effort to put out negative information to keep you in a state of anxiety. There are things happening all over the world. There are things happening in your neighborhood. There are things happening across your city. There are things happening across the oceans. And there are wonderful things that people are doing. People are creating systems where they can help the distressed in times of disaster. All kinds of good deeds are going on. People are feeding those that are suffering from perhaps deprivation due to local floods or hurricanes. People are helping out people in hospitals that have been injured. Wonderful acts of humanity. Good deeds that are going on every single day, all day long. Why are you being given a steady stream of the worst of human behavior? Why is that the choice? And it's called news. Why is news always bad news? Well, the intention is very deliberate. It's to keep you in a state of fear. And when you are in fear, you cannot think logically, you react. And when you react, you can be manipulated. This is why wisdom teachers are advising you to stop using your attention to absorb the negative information that's being spewed out across these media systems that are designed to program you. If you're in the perception that the world is about to collapse and the worst of things is going to happen and everybody around your corner is going to hurt you, you will live in a constant state of anxiety. The energy that you project will be that of fear, dread, distress, and you will attract what you are projecting. You will create the very conditions that you fear if you keep absorbing negative information. If you absorb positive information, what happens? You're calm, you're relaxed. And when you're in that calm state of relaxation, you can receive inspiration, inspire in spirit. From the higher spiritual realms, you are able to receive that which enables you, empowers you to create new things that will bring joy, harmony, peace. Whether it's a piece of music, a piece of art, a song, a dance even, or even a new invention that makes life easier. All of us are antennas for the divine energy of creation we call God, because all of us are a part of the divine energy of creation, because we are a part of all that is. And so when we tune in, we can receive an inspiration. And when we are calm and relaxed, we are in a state of peace. And we project peace. And so we experience peace. There are forces that desire to keep control of us by keeping us in a state of anxiety. And so we're experiencing that anxiety. And our perception of reality is distorted. So what is this new earth? It truly is already here. But there are those who are tuned in to peaceful coexistence, and those who are tuned in to distress and disharmony. And those who are tuned in to peaceful coexistence are experiencing peaceful coexistence. They're experiencing love, joy, harmony. They're experiencing the beauty of nature. They're experiencing that in their reality. Those who are tuned in to the lower vibrations, the lower energy, the lower projections of fear, violence, pain, suffering, that's what they're experiencing, because they keep watching it, they keep absorbing it, they keep projecting it, they keep living it. So the earth is dividing into two different levels of consciousness based on where you are in your own mind, your own spirit. And you are experiencing that which you are choosing to experience. It's not as if the other reality isn't there. It's just you're not experiencing it because of what you're choosing. So there are information gatherers, communicators, people who are choosing to use this World Wide Web, this wonderful information system that allows us to speak to each other all over the world, to project positive information, to enlighten us, to help us to remember why we're here in this wonderful earth experience. The challenge is getting through all of the years and years of negative programming, indoctrination into fear. And this is the challenge that content creators who are exposing information have. How do we overcome the fear-based teachings of the communication systems, the religions, the cultural indoctrination, all which have you believing that you are a doomed individual, you're unworthy of love, you're going to be punished with hell, you're damned, you're doomed, and there's no future, there's no hope, and you stay in a state of anxiety and depression. And you create more anxiety and depression because of your responses to things that happen in your life. All of which you are creating, and you have the power to stop creating and create the love and peace and joy that you desire. You can only do it when you choose to change what you focus your attention on. And so this is why we've chosen to share with you those voices that will help you through this process. Now, last show, we shared with you some things that for many people are just beyond belief. And yet there are so many across the globe who are tuned into these very same concepts, and they don't sound strange at all, because we are aware that our consciousness, our ability to perceive reality has expanded beyond the limitations of indoctrination into powerlessness, smallness, and fear. And so we're able to listen and comprehend and absorb and project something different. So today we want to help explain for those who are still perhaps in a state of confusion or disbelief, so that they can experience the new earth that has arrived. So let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to introduce to you a series of videos available right there on YouTube, visible in plain sight, of people who are sharing their understanding so that you may choose to tune in to people who are giving you positive news and also putting you in a state of relaxation so that you can receive inspiration and you can be part of that new earth as it is evolving into the state of peace that we all desire. We have work to do, and the first work is on ourselves. Let's choose to change what we're feeding ourselves mentally, emotionally, and above all, spiritually, so that we can experience the joy, the peace, and the harmony of the new earth. We'll be right back after this quick break. So I want you to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome to Master Force with Mushim Suit. Join us each week on Thursdays at 7 a.m. Central, live on Facebook and YouTube on the Female Solution page, as we dive into powerful topics designed to assist you in mastering your life force. Our conversations feature a diverse lineup of experts, all dedicated to your growth. Tune in weekly to discover new ways to elevate your spirit and raise your vibration. And remember, we are ascending.
Literacy is freedom, and we have a literacy crisis. Children should learn to read from pre-K to third grade. They should practice reading from fourth to sixth grade, and they should read to learn beginning in seventh grade and continuing through fourth grade. This video is sponsored by Rico Nance and Chemistry Steak and Brunch House in Hyde Park, Chicago.
Great day. It's your girl Asada here to introduce a new female solution show called Asada Says. That's right. Every month we're going to talk about everything I am, from cryptocurrency and financial security to good health and parenting strategies. Come on and talk with me every Tuesday morning from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And let's do that thing the way Asada says it should be done. See you then. Peace, right here on the Female Solution.
And we are back. You are watching Voices of Enlightenment. And every Wednesday morning, we're going to introduce you to people who are creating content on the internet that is uplifting, inspiring, motivational. Well, many people have been inspired and influenced by the work of hypnotherapist Dolores Cannon, whom we showed you a snippet of last time. Dolores Cannon, who had been doing hypnosis for 30, 40 years, had begun her career with her husband, an Army hypnotist that he was serving in the Army, and he was using hypnotism, treating therapy, things like losing weight, stop smoking, things like that. Things, the little things that people were using hypnotism for. But she tells a story of how in one session with a woman, they were asked to just kind of help with her anxiety. This woman went back in her mind to past life memories, and nobody knew anything about past lives at that time. Well, that started a major journey for her. And many, many books that were written as she discovered something that was just beyond the belief systems of the time. She discovered the reality of the earth's creation, a little bit different than the biblical story, because the people of earth have not understood until recently that there's a whole universe. And even now, the people of earth, many of them are having difficulty understanding that the whole universe is full of life and people. So in this address, Dolores Cannon, first of all, explains that as she has hypnotized thousands and thousands of people, and many of them have regressed to previous lives, they've also regressed to times before Earth's existence. And they've described what they remember as part of those people, those life force energies, those souls that helped in the creation of various planets. All of this, for many people, has been just too beyond their understanding. But of course, Dolores Cannon, very grandmotherly, regular person. She didn't come off sounding like some mad scientist or anything, just, somebody's mother, somebody's grandmother. and just explaining her work and tapping into what some have called the universal consciousness that we're all connected to, that knows all things. And being able to tell a story of how worlds are created, and being able to explain how all of us are part of the one. So all of us have existed forever. All of us have been there from the beginning. And for many people, trying to figure out how does this fit into their belief system, it's a challenge. And yet, there are even those who are getting inspirations or even getting memories from their own experiences. Near-death experiences in which they die, maybe are met with other beings, or had past life memories, or even had experiences out of body, none of which our current doctors can explain. Some will talk about hallucinations, psychosis, schizophrenia. But the reality is that hidden truths are now being revealed, and we have an opportunity to tune in to that which will free us from this nightmare that we have created. That's unnecessary. So let's take a look at one of the presentations from Dolores Cannon, and then we'll look at some of those who are themselves receiving information that's allowing them to share that which will help us experience the beautiful new earth that awaits us once we remember who and what we really are as eternal beings. Okay. Now, one of the things that we do want to remind you of is that all of these are available on YouTube right now. And if you are really wishing to tune in to those who have put out information that can help you remember, you most certainly have an opportunity. You can just simply type in the words New Earth YouTube, and you will be able to tune in to that which gives you information, series of wonderful presentations that really explain quite a bit. So much of what we're believing has to do with indoctrination and belief systems that it becomes very challenging to refute if you are not seeing what many others see, especially if you're going to, and this is not to discourage anyone from whatever spiritual system they believe, because within spiritual teachings, we have certainly heard revelations of what's to come. But one of the things that has been reiterated is that the future is not a fixed thing. When people see future events, they see them according to if you don't change paths, this is what lies ahead for you. The great seer Nostradamus predicted some disastrous things, but also made it clear that this will happen if we don't change our current direction. And if we change directions, then we won't experience the worst. This is part of what people have anxiety about, the fact that they're believing that those predictions of disaster are inevitable, and they are not. They are simply a possibility based on if we don't change our current direction. But we do have the possibility of changing that direction. And there are those who have given us warnings, given us information and insight. And if we would simply choose, we can change the direction that we're headed. So in this split, in this division, there are those who are choosing the higher path and those who are choosing the lower path. And so that's why they're experiencing different realities. Those who are making the choice to live according to peace, they're beginning to get inspirations to create new systems. So we will see people who are creating new economic systems that don't involve depriving groups of people of necessities or their share of the earth. We're seeing people that are getting the inspiration to create systems that are in harmony with nature as opposed to destroying the ecosystem. We're seeing people get the inspiration to create systems of transportation that don't pollute the air, and using the natural forces such as gravity and wind and all kinds of things to create the systems that we need for whether it's growing food or recycling, replenishing the earth. People are getting inspirations, inspire. When you're in spirit, when you are able to relax your mind, you receive ideas that are positive because you're tuned in. So we'll begin to see that. And those people who are choosing to tune into the higher vibrations of peace and harmony are able to tap into their creative energy, their creative abilities. And as a result, they're able to change the world that we live in because they're able to bring us things that undo the damage that we've done. So this is why our mindset is critical. The state of mind that we're in is critical, because if we cannot be at a state of inner peace, we can't create. We merely react to the distressing news that we keep choosing to listen to. So we will see in the not so much distant future, but in the present day, we will see groups of people who are choosing to live differently, forming societies that are independent, not through any decree or marching or protesting, but simply as a state of being. People who are living in the same state of being will simply be attracted to each other and choose of their own free will to live differently. Whether it's more harmonious living with more rural environments, people who are choosing to live according to a system of exchange and sharing as opposed to a monetary system in which you're constantly in a state of anxiety because something's going to be taken away from you if you don't get enough money to pay something. All of these systems that are collapsing because they're out of harmony with the earth as it is ascending to a new state. And so those who are choosing to live in harmony are creating something different. And they're choosing to experience that harmonious earth. And they're choosing to create it. And this is because they're choosing not to live in fear, because they're choosing not to be influenced by the bad news. So this is where the split is coming. And so many people who just can't comprehend, they just keep reinforcing the negativity that they don't want, but they're choosing to believe in. You can't make people be where they're not. You can't make people understand something that is beyond their capacity to believe because of years of indoctrination and fear. You can share information, but ultimately each person has to choose to accept it. And you can't make anyone accept something until they're ready. And sometimes people just simply aren't ready. So those people who are not ready, they will continue on the old earth. They will continue to experience the negativity that has been created, because the whole purpose of this experience is to experience what is negative so that you can choose what is positive. Everything that happens to you is showing you who you are. Are you one who chooses positivity, or are you one that chooses negativity? Who are you as the soul that you are, who's having this temporary experience on earth? Who are you? If something happens, the way you respond will show you who you are and how much you have evolved back to that original state, the original state of consciousness, the original state of being, the original state of creation is the energy of love. That's who and what we all are. This earth experience is to give us a contrast of what not love feels like. And we've been given free will to choose. And we have been given free will to create. So there is no reason for us to continue to create negativity other than we haven't learned that it's better to be positive. Those who have not yet learned will continue to experience an old earth where people are choosing war, people are choosing to deprive others, people are choosing not to share, people are choosing to be unkind to someone for superficial, ridiculous reasons. Oh, the way your skin is colored, I don't like you for that. Oh, the way your hair is designed, I don't like that. Oh, the clothing you hang on your body, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with how you are, so I'm going to treat you badly. And I'm going to deprive you of a place to live or food to eat or air to breathe because I don't like you. I'm choosing that. So the people who are choosing to live in that manner, they're going to all continue to experience each other's unpleasantness because that's a choice that they've made. All of us are distressed about the places of war around the world. But the people who are in those states of war, they've chosen that. We choose where we incarnate. We choose the experience we're going to have. We choose that. And they will experience that until they're done choosing conflict. The people who are about to experience the new earth are the ones who are choosing a different state of consciousness. They're choosing that. And so the earth is separating. Which earth are you in? It's separating right now. And you are choosing where you want to be based on your understanding that everything you're experiencing, you are creating with your own state of consciousness, your own awareness, your own decisions of how you're going to respond. We'll take another break and come back and share information from those who are hoping to help you remember who you are and choose to experience the love and the joy and the peace that is available to all of us on the new earth that is ascending right now. We'll be right back. So stay with us. When you see Black children misbehaving in public, being loud, disrespectful, and destructive, do you think to yourself, what they need is a good beating? That's what's wrong with these parents. They don't know how to discipline their children. Were you disciplined in that way? And did your parents also call you stupid, ignorant, and lazy? That's the way you break a slave. You terrorize them with constant fear of painful punishment. You teach them they're powerless to speak up, and you insult them so they feel like nothing. We were broken by parents who were broken, by parents who were broken. It's time to end the cycle of brokenness and bring healing to ourselves and our communities by using knowledge, respect, and love. We'll show you how. I'm Naima Latif. Get the book Slavery, the African American Psychic Trauma. On sale now. Go to www.naimalatif.com. We are back, and you are watching Voices of Enlightenment. I'm Naima Latif, and we're going to share a little bit of one who has had such an impact on the thinking and the understanding and the evolution of our awareness. Dolores Cannon, hypnotherapist, in one of her sessions was able to tap into one who was a student of Nostradamus. And then she was able to talk to Nostradamus himself. And she explains in one of her lectures that she was able to translate much of his information and help us understand that this horrible future doesn't have to be. But let's take a look at some of her insight in terms of the hypnosis field and what people have been able to reveal as a result of their memory that takes us back to a time beyond the beginning as we have been taught exists. She speaks of 3 waves of volunteers, people whose souls volunteer to come here at this time to help us in our evolution. And she also speaks of those who remember times all the way back to creation. So let's take a look at a bit of Dolores Cannon, hypnotherapist, past life regressionist, and her discoveries as she brings us knowledge that makes us transform our understanding.
Same thing, except that when he found it, he was afraid of it.
Oh, let's move it.
That I was working on. I've got tons of information that will be books down the line on history the way it really was. That's a book further on. I love that, but they keep going into these other directions, and I have to follow where it is. I'm working on convoluted 4 now. People keep saying, you got enough information. It pours out of people. I have enough information for 3 more books. That's the problem. It's too much. So I'm trying to decide to compartmentalize it. Is it going to go in this book or that book? But there is enough for convoluted 4, and there's more concepts that we haven't even approached. Some of them I'll be talking about tonight, but it just keeps expanding and expanding and expanding. So there's other information coming through on other topics that I think will have to be a separate book. So it's all getting there. Everybody keeps saying, when's convoluted 4 coming out? Well, it's still in my computer right now. And then I'm still having sessions, and more keeps coming. Okay. And I'm hoping you understand how I get this. What's his name? Jung, is that how you pronounce it? The psychiatrist. One of the fathers of psychiatrists was Freud and Jung. I always want to say Jung instead of Jung. When he was doing his work in the very beginning of psychiatry, he was using hypnosis. And he discovered what he called the universal consciousness. I think this is the same thing, except that when he found it, he was afraid of it. And he stopped his work. And he never did hypnosis again. He went over into the theory of psychiatry and developed that branch instead. If only he had stayed with this, I think we would have been much further ahead by now. But he didn't know what he was dealing with, and it must be very frightening. But I'm just so curious. And I love the energy, so that's the part I'm working with. Okay. So the part we're going to be focusing on tonight is what I've been lecturing about lately. I've gone away from the Nostradamus prophecies because I lectured on that for 20 years. My books are the only ones that have ever translated and interpreted all 1,000 of the prophecies. It's the most accurate interpretation that's ever been written. It took 3 years to do it, and direct contact with Nostradamus himself as he was writing them. Fantastic story. And for 20 years, I was lecturing on that all over the world. But he kept saying, this, what I'm telling you, is the worst. This is the worst case scenarios. This will what would happen if you don't do something to stop it. And that's what he was telling us this for. And he wanted me to go all over the world and tell people the power they had to change these predictions. He said, if you know which path you're going down, you can do something to stop it with the power of your mind. Because he said, you don't realize the power of your mind. And if the power of one man's mind is powerful enough to change something, imagine the power of group mind. Because it's not only multiplied, it is squared. And the power is tremendous. And that's why he wanted me to go places and tell people they have metaphysical groups, they have prayer groups, any kind of a group. If they could just take 5 minutes out of their meetings and focus on peace and harmony, that would be the world we would create. So that's what I was doing all that time. And I think we've made a difference because the worst has not happened. He saw time as not a straight line. He saw it going off in many different branches of all the probabilities and possibilities that are possible, from the worst to the least of any situation. It all depends on what people do. The same is true in your life. You come to crossroads, and you know if you took one branch, your life would be totally different than the other branch. That was what he saw. He saw all of the possibilities. And if you knew which line you were traveling down and knew where it was going, you could make changes by focusing on the opposite of what he saw. So that was what I was doing all these years. And according to the prophecies, we should have been in a terrible war with the Middle East by the beginning of the year 2000. Well, it hasn't happened. We did go to war, but I believe now we went into one of the lesser paths that he saw. People say, well, they didn't come true. I think they did. We just went into another timeline that's taken us away from that. So now we're headed into the time of the great genius and the time of computers and all of those things he saw about computers and the world we're going into and the new world. He saw all of that. That's where we're heading now. And I think we have avoided the worst that we were headed down before all of this happened. So anyway, where's I going with all of that? That was what I was focusing on all that time. But now the information we're getting, we are going in a different direction. And what I'm lecturing on now and what I'm doing on the Coast to Coast, people have heard me on there where you talk all night long on the radio. And believe me, that's a long time. At least they have commercial breaks. And I just did the Project Camelot too, and they wanted me to focus on the 3 waves of volunteers. So that's the ones I'm going to be talking about tonight, are the 3 waves. And this took a long time to get all the pieces. It's scattered throughout the Convoluted Universe books, as I got little pieces of what it was all about. And then it's only been over the last year or so I began to get more pieces that ties the whole story together. So in order to explain all of this, I've got to go back to the beginning of the world. It's a long way. But you all understand where I get my information from now. I have a memory that never forgets anything. So I have to have all of this information, all of these parts, and be able to remember it all, and then put it together and refer back and forth between the different books. So maybe that's why I'm supposed to be doing this. I don't know. But I have such a curiosity about history. And I want to know everything. So maybe that's, I got chosen for this, or whatever you want to say. I can't get out of it now, that's for sure. Okay. The information goes back, and it's in the Keepers of the Garden, is where we had the first information about the seeding of the planet Earth and where we all came from. And then the Custodians is the story of my 25 years working with the UFOs and ETs. They expand upon this information because they said, you must know the story of how life began on Earth. So I'm going to have to go back that far so you'll understand what's happening right now and why we're going into the new Earth and what's happening to the people in the 3 waves. It all fits together. Well, in the beginning of life on Earth, they said there are councils. There are councils over planets. There are councils over solar systems. There are councils over galaxies. Each one of them has rules and regulations that they live by. Nothing is random. Everything is very regulated out there. So they keep watch over all of the planets, and you can imagine what a job that would be. They keep track of everything, and they said in these councils are the history of all of the planets. They said when a planet reaches the point when it can support life, It's a very momentous time in the history of that planet. And at that time, they have to decide what kind of life are we going to introduce on that planet. And I think with this kind of a group, you can follow these things, because people say, what does God have to do with any of this? God is very much involved too. It's the evolutionary theory and the creationist theory mixed together, and it all fits beautifully the way they explain it. But when I've had people in sessions go back to when the Earth was forming, and whenever the volcanoes were erupting, there was no life on Earth. There was just too much ammonia in the air. I've had them go back to those times and tell me what the life was like at that time. I've had them go to the times whenever life was being created. Many of you probably had these past lives too, but you don't remember these things on a conscious level. I've had them go to where they were helping form the oceans, form the first life, because we've all been creators. We've all been parts of this. We just don't remember because they're focused on this life right now. But if it's important for the person to know, it will all come out. So I think I'm not going against your belief systems. Just stay with me on this anyway.
That is what many people are challenged with, understanding that we are all, and it's in scriptures if you understand what it means. We are God's children of the Most High. We are all one. We are all God. We are all the creative energy of the universe we call God. All of us. And as she said, you can understand it within your belief system, perhaps, because the information is there. But we are creators. We are powerful beyond measure. It's difficult to understand and accept if you are indoctrinated in the idea that someone else is more powerful than you. And so you don't tap into your ability to create based on your belief. And she, of course, Dolores Cannon is widely quoted, but she took people in a state of hypnosis back to past lives, and some of them went all the way back, as she says, to a beginning, which is far beyond what our present day teachings have given us. So let's take a look at another content creator that's attempting to help explain this whole new earth situation, because there are those who not just are listening blindly, but they really do understand, and they have a desire to help share so that people aren't fearful and people aren't looking at this as a refutation of everything they believe, because truly we've been given information over time. We've been given understanding. We've been given all kinds of hints, and still we can't quite get it, because when you're in fear, you can't think. When you're in fear, you react. And if all of your indoctrination has been based in fear, then you won't be able to actually comprehend something that goes against what you have been conditioned to think. So here is a content creator that is explaining about New Earth and what is happening, so that you can see that you're actually creating your reality yourself. And for many people, because we're used to blaming someone for something, we're having a hard time accepting responsibility for that which we have created. We have created the world we live in, and we are creating the reality we're experiencing. And we're choosing that experience every moment of every day. So let's listen to why we're having this experience and how the new earth.
In this video, we're going to be talking about New Earth and why it's not some spiritual jargon that is reserved for some special folk. It's not somewhere we're going. It's not some fantasy land or some parallel universe. It's something quite practical, and it's something just that's happening in humanity currently. So if this sounds like your bag, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and let's get started on the video. So a couple of people have been asking me on my Instagram account, please can you do some videos or a video that makes New Earth clear, practical, grounded, and simple to understand. So hopefully you will get that rather from this video. So let's put New Earth into a simple sentence. New Earth is about a collective shift in human consciousness. That's it, a collective shift in human consciousness. Our collective consciousness is rising, our awareness is rising, and New Earth is very much about, it's referring to people choosing to live from a deeper sense of inner wisdom and presence with the world at whole and the interconnectedness between all things, as opposed to just the fear-based systems, power systems dictating what we believe in. So it's actually about a shift in our own awareness. It's about us looking inward and questioning things and going, does this feel right for me? So in simple terms, that is what New Earth is. It is about a collective shift in human consciousness where we're starting to tap into our own wisdom and the wisdom of the universe, nature, and the cycles of creation, as opposed to the fear-based propaganda and systems that have told us how to feel, that have told us and conditioned us not to trust our own truth and experience of the world. So it's very much about an individual shift and a collective shift, because we're all connected, right? If we were to break down this little meat suit of a body, we would all be connected. Everything works in an ecosystem. That's the nature of creation. So that's what New Earth is all about. It's about starting to trust ourselves again. It's about starting to trust the innate wisdom that has been dropped inside of each and every body, our unique wisdom as a soul in this life's earthly realm, this journey of life as a soul in body. It's very much about trusting our own inner wisdom, but it's also about trusting in the wisdom of creation and the world at whole. So this really does come back to peeling back the layers of conditioning and going, do I really believe that? Or could there be another way? Questioning things. Do I really feel that I want to do that with my life? Or does this feel better for me? It's also about starting to tap into our own inner authority on a much deeper level. So that's going to come with our senses, the 5 senses, starting to lean into moving through life with our own somatic experience of life, not just collecting data from the external world and all of the opinions that other people have told us of how we should live our life and all the shoulds and shouldn'ts in the world, which can become very noisy and very messy.
And this is what many people fear. If you have lived a life where you've been told what to do and what to think and are deeply conditioned, this could be a challenge for you. But the new earth is a state of being, and those who are tapped in and ready to evolve will find each other and experience life differently. So next time we'll bring you some more content creators and those who have had experiences, spiritual experiences of remembering and life-changing experiences, and are now committed to sharing what they know so that this collective consciousness can then create the new society, because this old one, as we're observing, is collapsing. And those who are free in their minds are creating that which will replace it. Systems that are in harmony with the earth and all of its forms of life. It's a great new future. It's a great present. And we can all experience it if we choose. I'm Naima Latif. We'll see you next week on Voices of Enlightenment. Until that time, you have the power to continue to shine your light. See you next week. We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jaref. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.